Continuing with reading my New English translation of the Quran, chapter 02, the account of the Heifer of Israel, I'll read verses 177 to 186 today. Virtue has nothing to do with turning your faces to the east or to the west when you perform your prayers. It is a virtue when a person demonstrates his faith in God and in the inevitable coming of an end day, when he believes in the existence of his angels and he follows the teachings of the prophets and reads the lessons in the holy books. It is when a person gives up his money for the love of God, when he gives to the impoverished relatives, to orphans, to the deplorable, to the homeless, to the destitute traveler in a strange land, to people that ask for his help, and to the slaves that need to buy back their freedom. It is a virtue when you bring people together on a regular schedule to construct a soul of common unity through prayers, when you give the alms as they become due, and when you honor the promises that you had made. It is a virtue when you show toughness and resilience in the face of persecution, when you are doggedly defending yourselves from the vicious attacks of your enemies. People that are able to raise themselves up with such noble virtues are true to themselves and to their Lord. There is honesty in their faith. They are the ones that can protect themselves from evil and from the fire of God's anger. We say to you, the people whose rights had become secure under God's protection. It was decreed in the covenant with your Lord that justice required a credible form of retribution. Capital punishment was prescribed in the case of murder. All people are given equal protection under the law, regardless of their tribal identity. The life of a free man will atone for a murdered free man, a slave for a slave, and a female for a female. A victim's family can opt for receiving a monetary compensation in lieu of the death penalty. The amount will be in line with customer loss values established in your society and should be paid without delay. A reduced punishment as such, if granted, would be a form of leniency from your Lord, an act of mercy. Once a case has been settled, all parties must refrain from making any more demands or threats, or undertaking any acts of aggression against each other. The rule of law must be respected, and any violations of people's rights after a case has been settled will not be tolerated. Punishment is a deterrent designed to preserve life. It is not a form of revenge. You are the creatures empowered with a discerning mind, and so you should understand the value of deterrence in society. Enforcing a rational penal code can frustrate evil and protect innocent lives. It was decreed in the covenant with your Lord that if you sense the apparition of death calling on you, and you fall into a moribund state, then you should bequeath your worldly possessions to your parents and closest relatives. Your last will and testament should be composed with a sense of equity to your relatives. Ethical people are expected to carry out this responsibility, to preempt conflicts over inheritance. It is immoral as well as illegal when a witness testifies to anything other than what he had heard or seen firsthand. The guilt of this wrongdoing will also fall on anyone who corroborates false statements. A word that was spoken is lodged in the ether. The Lord our God records the words said by a dying man and the words said by every man. He knows the truth from lies. If a witness to the dictation of a will suspects that a bequeather had unintentionally diminished the rightful claim of one of his heirs or had intentionally denied the rights of inheritance to other heirs, he may intervene to remedy the situation. He will not be accused of any wrongdoing if his intervention addressed some potential grievances and preempted them from arising in the future, thus causing the will to be amended. His infraction of going beyond the expected duties of a witness will be forgiven. It is in God's nature to be compassionate and forgiving to all people. We say to you, the people who believed in their God-given rights, it was decreed in the covenant with your Lord that you should observe the rite of fasting, the same way similar rituals of self-denial were prescribed to many nations that came before you. Fasting will strengthen your character and may give you some resolve over the temptations of desire. It is a ritual of sacrifice, a giving of the self, to elevate it above its instinct of earthly descending. The period of fasting is limited to a number of days that can be counted on the calendar. If during those days you fall ill or you happen to travel a certain distance away from home, you can be excused from the exercise. You can make up the days that you had missed at some later time in the year. If fasting is a chore of extreme hardship that exceeds the bounds of your endurance, you may allow yourself a legitimate excuse from its observance, and the Lord will absolve you through your charity. An atonement for the sin of a single day of not fasting in Ramadan is to provide the equivalence of a day's human consumption of food to a needy person. When you give more than the stipulated amount for the love of God, expecting nothing in return, your munificence will fill your soul with an even greater sense of gain. If you could only grasp the value of the benefits you stand to attain, you would choose to do this ritual. Fasting is prescribed for all the days of the month of Ramadan. It was the month that witnessed the birth of the Quran, the word that was sent from the soul's high place down to the heart of man. The Quran is a guiding light for all mankind. The text contains a substance of the light and rulings that define the character of morality. So if you have the good fortune to be in the world of the living when the month comes around, then you should do all that is within your willpower to practice the fast. If during those days you fall ill or you happen to travel a certain distance away from home, then you can be excused from the practice. You can make up the days that you had missed at a later time in the year. By giving you this make-up opportunity, God makes it easier for you to fulfill your obligation. It is not His intention to make it hard on you. Thus you will be able to complete the ritual for the prescribed number of days. The fulfillment of this obligation is a form of a praise offering to Him, an expression of your gratitude to God for having provided you with His divine guidance. Thus you may glorify Him and raise His name high above any other power that influences your life. You might also be blessed with a renewed sense of indebtedness and a refreshing compulsion to show Him a genuine sense of your appreciation. The newly reformed who had committed their souls to the service of my goals. When they ask you where they can find me, tell them that I am standing so close by their side, ready to answer the prayers of any caller who calls on me. The connection is live, and so he should answer my call the same way I had answered his. He should trust in me and place his soul in the security of my mighty hand. This may allow his mental sensibility to grow to a state of maturity.